Guys, 786 Origins is real. Scheduled to release later this year in the second half of 2025. We're now starting to see what is the seeds of the game becoming real with the now official Twitter account being made and also YouTube. That second half of 2025 release date is now starting to look very, very promising. It's been a long 3 years since we've got the announcement of 786 Origin. We've made countless of videos now on the game, breaking it down, and also just other little tags of information we've gotten over the course of 3 years. So today I thought we might do a one-stop shop of basically all the information we've gotten, condensed all into one video, so you lot can be up to date about how this game even plays before all the information and all the new stuff starts coming out. So of course, if you want to see more info and updates on 786 Origin, definitely subscribe towards the channel where you're going to be going hard on that game. And if you want to be updated like on the go, then definitely follow our Twitter account me and Calbert are running at 786 Origin News. We are putting a lot more effort into this Twitter account. It's going to be probably like the best news site when it comes towards Origin news. Alright, so let's break it down. So all this information is coming from what's been shown, some of them even being 2 years old. So do expect a lot of things to change, but you can get the foundation of what the game's going to be about. And even if you have played something like Grand Cross, for example, you will start to see a lot of the similarities. We're going to break this video down into 3 parts. The gameplay, the story, and also the characters that have been shown. Alright, so starting off with the gameplay. So this on screen was the last official look at the gameplay with all its UI, which to be fair was like almost 2 years ago now, so it's very likely some things could change, but also could be the final product. So in 786 Origin, you'll be able to make a team of 4 characters. However, the big difference, I would say comparable towards other games in its genre, is characters share a HP bar. Unlike other games where one character may have more HP and dying you have to res them, in this game, right now, currently, they all share 1 HP bar. Meaning if you die, you have to restart. It's no reviving a certain character. Below the actual HP is the stamina meter, which it can be used for when you're climbing and also dashing. Dashing right now is actually quite unique for some characters. We did see Merlin, for example, who has obviously a lot of magic powers, is able to dash a lot more consistently and a lot further, and also consume a lot less stamina, which I do think will probably likely be changed. This looks too broken. Merlin is probably already the best character in the game because of this. The big ability in the middle is your ultimate move, which will also require an ultimate move gauge to use. As you see right now, Tiore requires 2 for this ultimate. However, every ultimate is different. They could require 3 or 4. Below that is the ultimate move gauge. This is how much you actually have available to use, and also the max which you can have is 8. And one thing that kind of separates this game, I think, in its genre a little bit, and this is what is very, very cool, because every ultimate is customizable. From what we've seen from the gameplay and even the little demo we saw, every character will have 3 different ultimates that will also change their abilities and playstyle. You can kind of almost think of it as 3 characters in one. In your armor, you're able to equip a weapon, and each character will have 3 different weapon types, whether that be for Merlin, where you have a book or you have a spear. Each time you equip a different like archetype of weapon, it would also change how the character works. Merlin goes from having fire powers to then changing towards ice powers. Also as well, every character will have 2 abilities, the ultimate and then the ability 1. However, there are a few characters we've seen through the demo that actually has 3 abilities. Tiore has a ability which you can leap into the sky just to get a bit high. If anything, it's more so for movement. And then we also have Gil Thunder, who can zoom in and throw his spear, which can be used in combat, but I think it's more likely used just for some puzzles that will actually be spread out through the actual game. So because of that, I don't think it's guaranteed that every character will have a 3rd ability, but the 3rd abilities are more so for whatever the game needs to offer. If you want a bit more movement, maybe it's a buff skill, or maybe, yeah, down the road, we will have characters that actually have a actual another combat ability. But I do think that left ability does open up more room for just diversity in the game, rather than be solely based on combat. Also on the far right, there is another meter that looks like to be sort of a switch mechanic. Now, you can switch in and out characters freely. However, if you want to switch in and use ability straight away, it will cost 1 of those meters, and you can have a max of 3. In the most recent trailer, we did get to see our first look at combined attacks, where Tristan and Meliodas are able to switch in together and do a combo skill together, which most likely will either cost the exact same for the meter, or it's possible it can cost 2 or 3. In the menus, though, you have quite a lot of ways to customize and change your character. Like we said earlier, depending on what weapon you equip, it will change your actual abilities. But you'll also be able to equip armor. However, this won't change your appearance, but most likely change your stats behind the scene. Unfortunately, we don't get to see too much look at that because the people that played the demo didn't really dabble too much with the gear. Costumes will be in the game, so you're able to customize your character. We don't know if these are going to be paid or if they're going to have stats behind them. But if they're following Grand Cross, it is a big monetary part about the game, so expect to see that in Origin too. There are two other options as well for Mastery and Potential. The Mastery could easily just be something that you actually have to upgrade more like a skill tree that you have to farm bosses for. And then the Potential is definitely going to be towards duplicates, or vice versa, depending on which one you want to do Mastery or Potential for. But yes, of course, it is a gacha game. There will be dupes behind the characters. There is underwater exploration, which, to be fair, is not really that new in these type of games now, but it was when it first got announced. And you can hold your breath for 3 minutes, but however, when you dash, it will cost 10 seconds off your 3-minute timer. Multiplayer is looking like a big part of the game, with 4 people, including yourself, are able to roam around the world or even start a quest where you're able to do puzzles together and clear through a raid boss. And I guess unlike other games, is you still have control over the 4 characters in your party. Since you all share 1 HP bar, you're not restricted to just 1 character. There is also a option for mounts where you can either go towards a deer or maybe even hawk, for example. This is definitely something, once again, they're going to probably likely monetize. So yeah, that's it for gameplay. There is a lot more that I guess we didn't get into about characters' playstyles and characters' little animations that I obviously don't have the chance to talk about right now. So if you want to see a little bit of a character breakdown, then let me know. But let's get on towards the story mode. Alright, so the story mode so far is pretty much my interpretation. They haven't outright said what the story mode is, but with what we've gathered, we can kind of piece it together and kind of see where they're going with the story in 7 Days Origin. So what has been confirmed is that the story does take place at the end of 7 Days Sins and just before Fallout of the Apocalypse. And of course, the main character that you do control will be Tristan, the son of Medios and Elizabeth. And then the side character, you can kind of think of it as the Paimon of the game. However, you are able to play as her. That is Tiore, which actually is the daughter towards King Diane. From what we saw, the story to start off with Tristan and Tiore kind of exploring and almost explaining past events, where you get to see our first look at Eskin and Esteros in the game. However, this is a flashback, but definitely some good teasers we're going to see later on towards them too. But they do happen to find a tree that they then start to explore, and this is when we get our first big boss fight. And after defeating the boss fight, you then get to see this magical orb, which is then going to explode into the sky, which is going to kick off basically the multiverse for 7 Days Sins. They then find this item, the Book of Stars, on the floor, which is created by Dubs, who was the one who created all the sacred treasures for the Sins, and actually is the logo of 7 Days Origin, a big part of the game, of course. And this is what Tristan and Tiore is going to use to kind of fix the timelines. After that big event, the past with 7 Days Sins and the future of Fallout Apocalypse are all basically mixed up, and it's the job of Tiore and obviously Tristan to fix it. You can actually see this teased a little bit in the recent trailer, where you do get to see the start of 7 Days Sins Elizabeth kind of go back towards the original timeline. You can kind of figure Tristan as the Doctor Strange of this actual world, where he's opening portals and sending back characters towards the original timeline. But the story possibilities they can do with this is perfect. Elizabeth seeing their son for the first time before it even happens will be a really cool interaction. But also, well, you can bring back characters that, well, didn't make it past 7 Days Sins. There's also going to be some more original stuff in the game that I've been told is meant to expand on the races and the lore of 7 Days Sins. So while you see these characters here, that I think they are meant to be demons and also maybe goddesses a little bit, actually. I know they got pointy ears and you might think they're elves, but there are no elves in 7 Days Sins, where I've been told, like I say, this is meant to expand it. So I think they actually all might be fairies. But of course, the story does need a big bad. And from what we can gather, the main villain or entity is going to be Chaos. Chaos is still kind of unexplained right now. They're still doing that in Fallout Apocalypse, so we might get a little bit of a sneak peek about how they're going to handle it in Fallout Apocalypse. But it's very safe to say that Chaos Alpha is going to be one, if not the main villain of the story mode. You can kind of think of it as him coming towards the new world and just taking things over, which once again is going to be so cool, because we actually might get like a fight up with Chaos Alpha versus Escanor, which obviously wouldn't be possible in Fallout Apocalypse. But yeah, this is probably the best solution they can make, because of course Grand Cross is being used to tell the story of 7 Days Sins, and it's now starting to adapt the original story of Fallout Apocalypse. With 7 Days Origin and the different timelines, we can kind of jump to different points in 7 Days Sins and different points of Fallout Apocalypse and get characters when we least expect it. I mean, we just saw in the trailer that Gila from Four Knights is playable before we've even seen the original Gila be playable. So while I do think, yes, we're going to be getting the main characters, of course, very early on, and that's kind of the start of Save the Sins, they can just kind of throw in Four Knights Apocalypse characters whenever they want to, because it doesn't need to make sense. And if they want to jump towards the end and release Mayel, for example, who obviously shows up towards the end of 7 Days Sins, they can do that without waiting to get to that point in story mode. So we're talking about characters, let's go over towards the confirmed characters that are playable right now in game. So on screen, I made a graphic to make it a little more easier to understandable. But yeah, the playable characters so far in game are Tristan, Meliodas, Tiore, Gopher, Gilwanda, Hauser, Merlin, King, Elaine, Slater, Demon Gila, Grimoire, and Barn. Tiore and of course Tristan being your Paimon and Traveler of this actual game, so those two characters are going to be free. If I had to bet, but it's not yet been confirmed, but I do likely think that Gilwanda will also be free because of the puzzle quest requiring him to basically throw a spear. That's likely because he could be free. These are all the playable characters we saw so far, with a few of them having like that yellow border around it, which likely means that these characters are legendaries, or at least like the 5 stars of this game. But it's also possible that these could be literally just the legendary characters that they would then start to fill out the 4 stars with characters like Death Pierce and like Deldry, like the Holy Knights basically, right? I don't think we're going to see that much of Diane or Escanor or until the release of the game. The reason why is because Escanor will likely be one of the first few banners to come towards the game, because they do like for him to be a big release character. And Diane probably will be in the launch game, but she has a really unique mechanic of her being a giant. So yeah, we got to wait and see how that plays out. Unless we just start off with like Fighter Diane, where she's just in a small form. But yeah, guys, that is kind of all you need to know about right now for Series of Origin. Like I did say, we're going to keep you guys updated on this channel, of course, if you want to see more quicker updates, because of course these videos do take longer to make. Then of course follow the news account leading up to release. We're going to keep you updated, but of course kind of re-release some of the information that you may have missed, like of course the game releasing on PS5. So definitely give that a follow. So guys, thank you for watching, and yeah, peace.